Bob Walker's got a hammer drill, then a slap has got a saw. When Pink has timber, hammers, nails, now Petrie even more. Craig Coltman, he'll take all the time, Graham Ray will lend a hand, and Frank Brannan can tell you how they've all got might a plan. Ask Mitre 10, they've got the lot. You can ask Mitre 10, they've got the lot.
Just ask Mitre 10.
Welcome back to the Football Hour as we check the winners so far in the round to date. Hawthorn by 56 points out at the Park. Carlton by 23 points in a tough one at Princes Park. The Saints with Lockett kicking 15 goals by 53 points. And Geelong kicking the sweep once again by 77 points as we take a look at the ladder.
Now it's time to check the CUB AFL ladder.
No change at the top, but the Saints 4th to 3rd, Carlton 6 to 4, West Coast 3 down to 5, but those things can change after today. Collingwood 5 down to 6, Hawthorn moved up a spot and they took Fitzroy's place. So that could be rearranged again following today's matches as we go and look at some of the highlights. Gee, didn't Wilden play a game? 6 goals, 6. In fact, Chris Langford had to be shifted in the end and went down and kicked 3 goals himself in the last quarter. But Wilden beat Langford in the man-to-man battles and had a tremendous impact on the second term when Fitzroy made its one run for the day at the Hawks. Tony Hall, well, he's had a lot of injury problems over the years, more serious than this one, but this one would certainly hurt. 24 stitches in his leg after yesterday, so he's had some wretched luck, hasn't he, over the years. That's Jeremy Gard, shirt-fronting Jason Dunstall, who's had, again, a very good match. Chris Langford, as I said, went up into the forward line and kicked 3 goals. That was one of them in the final term. So who kicked this one? Was it Wilden or Stevenson? We had another situation out at Carlton that was similar with Brown and Klug in that match, but Wilden just going through, and it's doubtful whether Stevenson got his boot to it. And here's Chris Langford showing that he's very good at either end of the ground. I'm not sure how that one got from Jarman to Langford. It's got quick hands though, Darren, and Langford's left foot round the body was a beauty. Well, what about Lockett? He is a phenomenon, there's no question about that. Kicked 12 goals, he had 2 weeks off with an injury after playing in the State of Origin match, and he comes back and kicks 15. He's got an excellent record at Moorabbin, a terrific record against Sydney, and a great record fresh. I can remember last year, here he is with Cordy. It's a bit like World Championship Wrestling out there for a while yesterday. That was a terrific mark. I remember last year when Lockett played his first game in many, many weeks against Adelaide, and he kicked 10 goals in the first half. This one with Nettlebeck, interesting one, this one. I think this is the one that the policeman got involved in at one stage. Nettlebeck is a pretty big boy, but so is Big Tony. And, well, see for yourself. Lockett again, 15 goals. And he's breathed some life into the John Coleman medal. Dunstall with 85 looks certain to get 100, and there's a thought that he might even get 150. Lockett's got 69. And you look at the Saints draw in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you can see him charging after Dunstall at this stage. Billy Brownless, as Geelong had 14 different goal scorers yesterday. They're a magnificent team. If the grand final was played this week, they'd be favourites. What about this goal of Menches? Well, you've got to say he meant it. It was extraordinary, wasn't it? But that could go through. And we've seen Dacos kick freak goals in the past, and that's one of them. Romero had bad luck yesterday, wrenched his knee, and that was the incident. We're not too sure. North not having much luck because Martin was out of the match before the game started and was replaced. Good mark here by Ablett. He loves these, doesn't he, when he just leans back and lets it fall into his arms. And he's gone back and kicked 4. He kicked 5-7 on Sunday and 4-4 yesterday. And arguably, he's having his best ever season. If he could finish the season as he finished 1989 in the finals, it would be his best season yet. This de Ulio is exciting. Came back from suspension. He kicked 4 goals yesterday. He kicked a lot of his goals with sheer pace. I mentioned that incident with Brown and Klug. Here it is in question. The ball just bouncing over and Klug putting his boot to it, but it was a goal. Adelaide were very competitive. In fact, they wasted a lot of chances. Here was a funny incident if you're an Adelaide player, particularly if you're Darryl Hart taking them out, but Craig Bradley put out of the contest by the Adelaide trainer, or Waterman, and he was remunerated by his mate there when he went back. Here's de Ulio again, charging for goal. Tusker and Welsh were having a bit of misdemeanour off the ball, but D'Ulio exciting. And the Blues, well, they've got a pretty easy draw in the next 3 or 4 weeks. They've got a wretched last 4 weeks when you look at the program, so they need to get as many wins as they can. The only striking, at this stage, the only tribunal hearing will be Dale Lewis against Nathan Burke in the third quarter. Now, the interstate headlines at the moment from Western Australia, Troy Ugle is on hold. He didn't play on Friday night or in the Waffle, and he may be coming in for one of 4 players. McIntosh, Matera, Heady and Waterman are all under a cloud today for either injury or illness. The Sunday Mail in Adelaide is saying that stray kicking cost the Crows, and in particular Ingerson, who played so very well and kicked so very poorly with 2 goals, 5. And Scotty Palmer's paper, the Sunday Herald Sun, says, well, Tony, he's a saint, all right. He kicked 15, and they highlighted the fact that he and Craig Nettlebeck got amongst it yesterday. Scotty, how are you?
Terrific, Bruce.
Scotty
Terrific.
Palmer joining us. He is a phenomenon, isn't he? That's hard to say that word,
I saw Gary Ablett yesterday too. He's quite a star too. I saw him punch a ball 35 metres to Burke, who turned around and kicked a goal. But Gary Ablett in the ruck, he can do anything.
Yeah, well, we saw him in the ruck one year in the grand final, take the ball out of the air and just snap a bit of a goal against Hawthorn. Now, Barry Mitchell, you really played that story up last Sunday. Congratulations that the Swans weren't happy about what was going on. What's the latest with Barry Mitchell?
Well, I spoke to Jeff Brown, who's the legal advisor of the AFL this morning. In fact, I interrupted his studies this morning. He's going through all the books, looking for sort of pre-cases and all that sort of stuff. Now, he's going to meet with the AFL on Monday at 10:30 and the QCs attached to the case. They'll work out their strategies there. They'll go to court this week and sort of argue their side of the case. Jeff mentioned the fact that this isn't something new, a player going to court over a tribunal. Neil Baum did it for spitting, and Jimmy Cracker did it for kicking. So he said we've got some sort of cases to work on in the past.
There's been a precedent set,
That's right.
set in the past. Okay, Alan Schwab grilled yesterday on radio. This match, Footscray and Collingwood, will definitely play at the MCG next Sunday. What's the latest on it? Now,
I spoke to Swabby this morning too, and he said that they can't give Collingwood a definite answer on where that game will be played, the next game at Victoria Park. It could be Essendon if Essendon lose many of their matches coming up.
Round 19 or something.
Exactly.
About,
but more likely it'll be next year, I think, Bruce.
Okay, so 8...
They'll get 8 next year.
Well, we'll be discussing that, and we've got a grab from Ross Oakley and Alan McAllister a little later. Now, what's the situation with Geelong wanting a reduction of number of players for the state of origin from each club?
Quite an interesting one. I suppose they look back at the squad pick for the West Australian game and saw 7 of their players. They're going to write a submission to the league that a maximum of 4 players be picked from any Victorian side. They feel that's enough, particularly with the importance now of the competition, the league competition, and the risk factor involved in having so many players running around in the one team. So I think it's not a bad idea, 4 out of one side. Okay,
I've just had my throat cut by the floor manager, but very quickly, what's this big story about an umpire writing to the AFL?
Well, it's a very interesting one. It'll be dealt with by the Victorian State Football League tomorrow, where an umpire has written to the league saying that certain things happened after the tribunal a week ago. And Robin Bailey, their new investigator, is having both parties, the player and the umpire, in tomorrow for sort of a heart-to-heart. Now, what comes out of it, we can only wait and see.
OK, it's an important story, and the Geelong Stars are cooking for themselves, aren't they?
Home economics classes down Geelong. Yeah, right. Really. They've got the aprons on, Bruce, now.
Scotty, keep punching.
Good on you, mate.
Bobby Davis, you've just lost a minute of your monologue time today, but you'll be right. Panel after this coming up in just a moment.
Supporters and indeed the general public at large. We expect a significant crowd here on the Sunday, and we do fear a lockout and the problems that go along with a lockout at Victoria Park for this game.
Well, that was at the height of the standoff from the chairman of the AFL Commission, Ross Oakley, on Friday. Yesterday we spoke with Alan McAllister, the president of the Collingwood Football Club, after a decision had been made to play the game on Sunday week, and this was Alan's response.
And now the situation is that they've guaranteed us an extra game, either this year, and in all probability would be this year, and they've given me to understand also it would have to be an unforeseen circumstance that's not repaid this year. But if that wasn't possible, then they've guaranteed us an extra game, or 8 games next year at Victoria Park. And so therefore we haven't backed down. And the second thing is, which was very meaningful to us, is that they've guaranteed to back us in on this council situation. In other words, never put our agreement at risk by a shortage of games.
So Alan McAllister accepting the fact that Collingwood will play at the MCG, but getting some concessions. He feels at this stage, I'm not sure if Ross Oakley feels, that there'll be a guarantee of 21 games over 3 years at Collingwood. Gentlemen, let's run through this really quickly before we talk about what we normally talk about on a Sunday morning. Bob, the birthday boy, do you believe, congratulations, do you believe that Collingwood should be playing this match at Victoria Park or at the MCG?
No, I think it should be played at the MCG, and I think both of the fellows had very good points. McAllister had to stand up for his club, but he never had any chance. It was always going to be played at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
Ron?
Well, I always like to see the AFL win in a case like this, because Collingwood would be one of the clubs, along with any club, that says to a player, they often say to a player, you are not as great as the team. Now, this is the case of the team wants, or as in football, wants the game played at the MCG, and that's where it stays. No argument. That's what they do to their players.
Yeah,
when it's done to them, some can't cop it.
You're saying one club's not greater than the competition?
Of course.
Kelvin?
Yeah, it's for the same reasons. I think, Bruce, I would go along with the AFL because, you know, like Ron said, the individual isn't bigger than the club and the clubs aren't bigger than the, you know, the whole AFL. So under those circumstances, I think it should be played there where most people can get to, hopefully.
Tim?
Yes, I agree too. I think the game should be shifted to the MCG, and you know, with this new AFL competition, then the clubs just have to do as the Commission says.
OK, Bernie?
Yes, the game had to be moved, Bruce, there's no doubt about that, but I can understand McAllister's point of view. The social club members at Collingwood are paying something like $170 a year for their membership fees, Bruce, and really what are they getting for it? So McAllister really did have to stand up for the Collingwood people.
It's interesting because a poll taken in the newspapers during the week were very much in favour of Collingwood, but I guess they had a vested interest and they were the people that might respond. Bob?
And Bruce, if there are not going to be that many games at Victoria Park, then they'll just have to reduce the fees at the social club or get a return from the AFL from the extra gate revenue that is taken when they transfer a game.
I'll tell you another thing that, in fact, Scotty wrote about this in the paper this morning. There's a chance that this game won't be televised at all, because we're committed to 2 live games, the Seven Network, on that day next Sunday. There's a very good chance this match won't be on television at all because it's very hard to program it at this stage. So that decision will have to be made during the week. And
you mean not even a replay, Bruce?
No, not even a replay, because we're committed also to motor racing at 10:30, the final race of the year, with news commitments, a game coming out of Adelaide live and a game coming out of Sydney live on the one day. So that's another problem when you're rescheduling matches that I think... I'm pretty sure the Commission didn't know about at the time, and I'm sure Alan McAllister didn't know at the time.
No, I think that's a very strong point. You might start it all up again, Bruce.
Well, you might get a live telecast. Darren Pritchard joins us this morning from the Hawthorn Footy Club. Darren, thanks for coming in. The first question I'd like to ask you is that there's been so much talk about Hawthorn in the last 2 years at this stage of a season being under pressure. Now, last year, we all know, you responded magnificently, you went through and won the grand final. Has it been as desperate this year? Was the feeling during this week as low as it must have been at the same time last year? I mean, do you feel as if that you've still got the ability and you've got the players that can repeat what you did in 1991?
Yeah, for sure. I think the side that was out there yesterday, apart from Chris Mew, Dermott and Paul Deere, is basically the same side that won the premiership last year, so I'm sure we haven't lost our ability over the last year.
You've mentioned 3 very important players, though, because particularly Deere and Brereton in that grand final. Mew was terrific, but they played such a significant role. You're going to need well, you'll get Deere back and you'll get back Mew probably, but Brereton must be a huge question mark.
Yeah, sure. They're 3 terrific players, and we certainly need them in the side, and hopefully they'll wean back into the side over the next few weeks.
Darren, it's not a predetermined plan to have a sort of a low patch in the middle of the season, is it?
No, certainly not.
Well, I mean, it is part of it's almost part of your scheme, isn't it, to be there?
Well, it's certainly good to peak at the right time of the year, at the finals time, but certainly nothing that's planned. I mean, you want to be on top all year and win as many games as you can to get in the finals, get a good position in the finals.
Darren, probably following on with Bob's question there, do you find that the pre-season games and the premiership and all that sort of has an effect, you know, into the season as it did last year, maybe the same this year? Is that sort of a valid point?
Yeah, I think it's a valid point. The season's very long, and players have to keep getting themselves up week after week, and I suppose when you get to this time of year, it's you've played a lot of footy so far, and you just have to keep getting yourself up. So I suppose it has a little bit of significance. Yeah.
Well, you've been involved in 3 premierships and some of the players involved in 4 and 5, so you do need a challenge. Ron, I know everyone wants to ask Darren a question. Give us your votes and then ask him the first question after that. So your votes from the game yesterday?
Right, my votes for the game was Lawrence in the ruck. I thought he absolutely dominated all day, and Darren Jarman was fantastic. He is, I think, the best foot pass I've ever seen, forgetting drop kicks for a moment, or step kicks. And Darren Weldon, he was a live wire up an attack, and he, re-fired up the Lions in the second quarter. Now my question is, don't you think it is a tougher comp this year, so therefore, as compared with last year where you went on and won, it's going to be much harder to repeat last year because it's a tougher comp?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's much more even this year. It shows we're out of the 6, but we're only 1 game off 3rd spot, so it shows that the competition is very even. Yeah.
Darren, you've had problems at centre-half back this year. Chris Mew has looked fairly fragile with that calf injury, hamstring problems. How have you covered that yesterday? I think, did Langford start at centre-half back?
Yeah.
And who started at full-back?
Jenke.
Ray Jenke played full-back. Now, you've got problems there, Jenke won't probably be a full or a long-term sort of player at full-back. Do you think you can cover the loss of Chris Mew if he doesn't come up?
I'm certain Chris will come up, but we've had Jason Taylor in there at centre-half back a few times, and Andy Gowers has gone into the back line as well to play full-back, so I think we have a couple of options there that we can fill in.
Darren, I think that this year more than ever you're relying on Jason Dunstall to kick goals. Paul Hudson kicked a lot of goals last year. He's been down in form. He hasn't kicked a lot of goals this season. He's taken off again yesterday. Paul Deer out of the side, Dermot Brereton out of the side. Do you think you've got enough goal kickers there when you play the top zones?
Certainly Jason's been doing a wonderful job and holding us together. He's kicked a lot of goals and given us a lot of opportunities. And at this stage, I suppose we are struggling with Dermot out and Deary out as well. But the other players around there, Hawley and all these sort of blokes, are fighting really hard on the forward line, and hopefully they'll keep things together until we get the forces back.
Darren, Gary Ayres started in the centre, I understand, yesterday. Where do you see him, or where do you personally think that Gary is the best value for the Hawthorn side?
Gary's best value, he's out there on the football field. Gary's a magnificent leader, and it's just great to be out there with him. He gives it 110% every week, and I don't mind where Gary is as long as he's out there.
How does Jarman look at training? Does he really knock himself out of training? Darren Jarman, does it just flow out of his fingers and out of his nose? Well, it does. You can see it. His ability just comes out, doesn't it?
It oozes, Bobby, doesn't it?
That's right, oozes. Does he scintillate at training?
Yeah, Darren's got a lot of class, and his skills are magnificent. He's certainly improved on the training track this year, and he's trained very hard this year, and I think it's showing out in his footy on the field.
Could I butt in for a moment? Because Ron's made an enormous statement today, I don't know if everyone picked it up, that he reckons he's as good a foot pass, if not the best, forget the drop kicks and Barry Price, etc., he's ever seen. Do you feel he's a player with special talents? You've played with some of the greatest players of the 80s. Is this guy very special, do you think?
Yeah, I think he is. He's, like Ron said before, he's amazing with his foot passes, the way he can spot people up with his vision, and just about knocks your chest off sometimes with some of the kicks.
I mean, the ball just gets so quickly through the air.
Yes.
It cuts out interceptions or reduces the chance of interceptions, and the guy behind the leader struggles to make up distance because the ball just goes zip. That's fantastic. Left or right.
What about Joyce versus Jean's reaction when you're going badly? I mean, Alan Joyce has been pretty savage in the paper when you do get beaten. I mean, how do you respond to that? I mean, You've been so successful for so long, and suddenly this coach comes in who only knows how to win grand finals, doesn't he, Alan Joyce? I mean, how do you guys respond to him when he's really tough on you?
Well, Alan's takes it hard when we lose, and rightly so. He has a lot of pride and respect. And
harder than Jeansy did?
It's very hard to say. I think Jeansy took it very hard as well, so it's very hard to make a comparison as far as that's concerned. But I think every coach takes it pretty hard when you have a couple of bad losses.
Did it surprise you when he came out with the statements he made last week after the loss?
No, I think we deserved it.
Fair enough. Well, Darren,
he should be banned. The SAC Coaches Association, of which I'm almost been a member, almost. Banding together.
We wouldn't have you in. You wouldn't pay your fees. I'm the treasurer.
Banding together to get Joyce sacked because he's just making it too easy.
Well, he's won 5 out of 5.
I know, it's not fair.
What about Darren? You were drafted in '86, weren't you?
Yeah, end of '86.
I think you were the longest serving draft player in the AFL history. He's been pretty successful for a draft pick, that's for sure. 3 premierships. Good luck for the rest of the season. It's going to be fascinating. In fact, Hawthorn's year could be decided in the next 3 or 4 weeks. They play Geelong and West Coast. West Coast next week, then Geelong and Carlton in 3 of the next 4 weeks. So they've got a pretty tough run. Good luck, Darren.
Thanks, Bruce.
One man who'll be hoping to beat them will join us after this break, Adrian Gleeson.
Well, so far it's been quite pleasing.
Where do you see Carlton at the moment? They're 8-4. A lot of people feel that they're still fragile, yet they've been able to win some very important games this year. Next 3 or 4 weeks looks relatively easy on paper. I know it's dangerous to say that. Your last 4 weeks are horrid. You've got 4 of the top sides. Where do you see yourselves at the moment?
Well, as you said, each game is a difficult one. There's no easy games to win, that's for sure. And it's just a week-by-week proposition, but we hope to make the finals. That's our aim at the start of the year, and we're on course to do that at the moment.
Well, we've put Bernie Quinlan right under pressure here because he called the game yesterday and he's about to give his votes, Adrian, and you got a lot of touches. How did you go, Bernie?
Yeah, fortunately, I checked when I came in, Brucey. I've given Adrian the 3 votes. He played a terrific game and had so many...
You did that last night, Bernie, didn't you?
I gave the votes straight after the game. Yes, Adrian played a terrific game. John Dorotich also playing at centre-half back, having his best season for quite some time. He really shut Mark Micken out of the game. And I thought David Marshall, playing on the wing for Adelaide, had something like 35 possessions and took Fraser Brown right out of the game also. And he played on a very good quality opposition opponent. But I thought, really, Carlton, with their 8 wins at the moment and 4 losses, certainly look as if they're going to play a part in the finals, and they have improved a lot on last year. When you look at the 2 VFA players who played very well yesterday, DiUlio and Rowan Welsh, both kicked 4 goals. Cavidan playing in the ruck. I want to ask Adrian about whether there's a spot for Justin Madden in the side, in the Carlton side. I'm not too sure about that. I think that with Cavidan's mobility and ability to play on that forward line, that Justin Madden's days might be just about over.
Well, why don't you answer it now, Adrian?
Well, I think it's a spot for Justin. He's a dual best and fairest winner, and he's shown over the years that he's a great player, and I think that Justin will bounce back and earn his spot back in the side.
Good to see you able to win like a pretty tight match against a hungry opponent without Kernahan starring with the goals.
Yeah, he didn't kick many goals, Steve, but he played a fair bit in the ruck yesterday and around the ground. He was a great contributor for us too.
Before this season started, Carlton sacked a couple of older players. They shifted a couple of players around to get Greg Williams to the club. Was there a much more serious mood about pre-season than in the past few years?
I don't know if there's a much more serious mood. I mean, we've been disappointing the last couple of years, not being in the finals, and Carlton's been a very proud club and haven't taken it lightly for not performing well. And we were pretty hungry at the start of the year for sure, as we have been the last couple of years, but just for a couple of class players that the club has picked up, it's made a difference to the team.
Adrian, we've been talking about that the teams are more even. Is it a more even game out on the field between, when you play? Do you find that?
Yeah, I think so, Bob. We've hardly had any easy games at all. I think it's the start of the AFL now. It's very even, and as I said, we haven't had any easy games, so it's very hard out there.
One player, Adrian, who's had a fair bit to do with the resurgence of Carlton is Matthew Hogg, a former Footscray player, who's been fantastic. And yesterday he was moved on to Jarman in that second half and really cut him out of it.
Yeah, he has. Hoggy's been fantastic for us. He started off on Tony McGuinness and kept him very quiet in the first half, and then Andrew Jarman was very damaging in the first half. Had about 20 touches, I think, and then he went on to him in the second half, and I think he ended up with 5 or 7 touches and got the ball out himself.
There's a couple of other players in that category too, Adrian. I mean, you've always had the star players at Carlton, Kernahan, yourself and Bradley, those types of players, but we mentioned Hogg is also Aythorne, Fraser Brown, DeLilio. Those types of players have really solidified around the edges, so to speak, haven't they?
I think that's why the difference is this year. A few of the younger players have come up into the team, performed very well. It's taken a bit of pressure off some of the older guys, and I think that's why we have been a bit more successful this year.
So Adrian, Jarman was in the centre?
Yeah.
So where did Williams go when...
McGuinness tagged him, Ron. What happened? McGuinness played on... Jarman and Williams played orthodoxly.
Yes.
And then McGuinness, who'd played on Williams last year in Sydney, went on to Williams and really ran with him to get McGuinness into the game. And then Hogg, who'd done the job on McGuinness, did the job on Jarman. Jarman was terrific to half-time and played very little part when it mattered, I guess, in the end, which was unfortunate for Adelaide. So that he did do very well.
4 centremen.
Hogg, yeah, we did, and Hogg was terrific.
Are they, the fellas that Kelvin was mentioning, are they strong, tough players, are they, Adrian? Are they renowned for that? DeLilio and Rowan Welsh and the other ones, Fraser Brown, have they stiffened your...
You mean a bit of biffo?
No, not biffo at all. Fellas that run a lot harder and straighter at the ball.
Yeah, they have. I mean, the whole team is geared to running straight at the ball, and that's why we've had a bit more success.
I think we should discuss Greg Williams' influence, even though he probably hasn't starred, his influence around the club, because he did go to an enormous sacrifice, as Tim mentioned earlier, to get him to the club. What influence is he having?
He's been fantastic, Greg. You know, he was very hardly done by, I think, missing the first 6 weeks of the year, and he was full of enthusiasm on the training track. He was trying to get guys up when he wasn't. It must have been very hard for him because he wasn't actually playing. And as I said, his influence has been great.
Some clubs tag him, whilst others in the past have put a player who has the ability to run quickly and break up the game. Which do you think he finds it more difficult to play against?
I don't think who you put on Greg, he's still going to get touches, whoever it is. He's that type of player. He's probably one of the best players playing in the competition, and you can have a tagging type or a quicker guy on him, he's still going to get the ball and hurt you on the way back, so I don't think it matters.
Adrian, your impressions of the Adelaide Crows, you think they're going to be a bit of a thorn in some of the sides as the season wears on?
They're a very good team, the Crows. You know, they played pretty well yesterday, and fortunate enough we played a little bit better to come out with the 4 points, but yeah, they're a very good team.
They were a bit unlucky. I mean, Ingerson almost did a Spalding, didn't he? Yesterday, Spalding against West Coast and Ingerson. Just one final quick one. Craig Bradley ended up getting a lot of touches. Was he 100%? He looked so out of it in the first half. He looked like he was almost ill. Was he well going into the game?
Yeah, I think so, although there's been a bit of flu going around the club. He might have touched.
Did you notice that he was totally out of it? I mean, he fell over at one stage with the footy and was given a deliberate out of bounds.
Well, Craig played on the wing yesterday, which I guess isn't his usual role, so he has to adapt his game there a little bit. He wasn't in the centre or up roving, but he ended up with 28 or 30 touches. So
he got into the game, didn't he? He ran into. Adrian, good luck. You've played tremendously well this year, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much.
You've got a lot of potential, certainly at Carlton at the moment. Kelvin, talk about potential. Geelong's fulfilling it. I mentioned they'd be favourites for the flag if it was played this Saturday. You saw them yesterday. Would you confirm or go against that?
I would agree with that, Bruce. They're certainly the best equipped side right at the minute. They've got great on-ballers, forward line. You can mention a million, but I think the game really was sewn up in the first half with 16 goals to 5, and Damien Burke had the biggest influence, and he not only tapped the ball out in the ruck, but he took many marks, and it was a good return by Burke. Matthew Larkin, 2 votes. Been under a bit of pressure, Matthew, in recent weeks, but he showed that he is a good leader for the North Melbourne side, and the guy he tossed the coin with at the start of the game, Mark Bairstow, probably the most valuable player, or arguably the most valuable player in the competition at the moment, gave another polished performance, but 16 goals to 5, well, that sums it up pretty well in the first half, when they really had a lot of avenues up forward, and they've have no problem in producing forwards at Geelong at the moment. David Mensch was selected at full back, came into the full forward position, kicked 4 goals, I think, for the day, but certainly a 7-goal performance when he gave a couple of assists and fed out a few handballs, so it was a fine contribution by him. Their back line has been solidified by the ex-North Melbourne player Tim McGrath. He impresses me, runs straight at the ball. Bobby, as you were asking Adrian a moment ago, and he's certainly been an asset to him in that back line. Of course, the numerous on-ballers, Ablett, Hughes, Hocking, Scott, Bairstow, Couch, it gives them a lot of avenues and a lot of different guys to thread through the centre, and it really sets it up for them.
Well, Cal, North Melbourne's comeback was, did Geelong just take the foot off the accelerator a bit, did they?
Well, it could have been a combination of 2 things. I think Geelong tended to play in patches, but North Melbourne for the first half really complicated the issue a lot. They went for the wrong option, or the third option, with a nearly impossible handball or an impossible pass. And in the third quarter, they tended to go a more direct avenue to goal, and really gave Longmire a chance. Some of the passes, or the way they were sending the ball forward early in the game, there was no footballer or full forward in the history of the game that would have got the ball. So in the second half, at least they corrected that little issue, and they played a much more direct approach and gave Longmire a chance, and he kicked 5 in the second half, so they've got to continue in that vein, I think.
Kel, Billy Brownless the last couple of weeks has been right down on form. Any better yesterday?
Well, very patchy, Billy. I think he kicked 3, spent a bit of time on the interchange bench and came back and finished the game around full back, but he possesses great flexibility, like a lot of those Geelong players. Stoner can play both ends, so I mean, it's not a bad problem to have.
Hughes is important too. He's really starting to find some form, isn't he?
He's got better as the game progressed yesterday.
He's been out of touch for a couple of years. I know he's been injured as well, but he's so important to them. We'll take a break. We're going to discuss St Kilda and Sydney after this, and also Marks of the Week.
Today there's a live doubleheader. Brisbane spar with Essendon, then West Coast mess with Collingwood. A live double, 1 o'clock today on 7 Sports.
Tomorrow we'll take VCE students to Barcelona and explain the changing political games behind the Olympics. Plus 3 well-known Australian authors discuss their styles and techniques. All in Student Update. Essential reading for VCE students. There's something for you in tomorrow's age.
This is what happens when 75 years of development is compressed into 1/100th of a second. This is the moment that 6,000 engineers have strived so earnestly to control. This is the time you appreciate how one car does more than all others to spare its occupants from impact shock. This is the point when you thank heaven you're driving a BMW. And that BMW is not merely concerned with safety features, but with a complete technology on safety. A fully integrated road safety technology. And this is when you realize that no other car manufacturer has it.
More computing solutions from Business World Computers, like the CMC 386 computer for just $18.95. Panasonic laser printers from only $15.95. CMC 20 desktop value packed at $14.95. And backup power supply for only $2.99. Computers, laptops, software, computer furniture and accessories. Plus full service and support from our technically trained staff. Who else but Business World Computers, corner of Fentry Gully and Stud Road, Scoresby. Australian Football Video presents Grand Final Football at its best. Relive St Kilda's 1966 Premiership victory over Collingwood. A magnificent video recalling the day the mighty Saints took their first flag. And the 1977 North Melbourne double pack, featuring the grand final draw and replay against Collingwood. These 2 videos show the Roos winning their second flag in 3 years. These historic football contests are an essential part of any sports library.
A lube service, electronic tune-up and a complete safety inspection bumper to bumper is normally $149.50. This month, we'll do it for only $99 plus parts. That's right, $99. Try us. We'll prove how good we are. Call now and have your car serviced at your home, the office or wherever. All parts and labour are guaranteed for 3 months. Call 690-7177 now and have Lubemobile come to you.
Welcome back with the birthday boy. Went to Moorabbin yesterday. It wasn't his birthday yesterday, that's today. St Kilda and Sydney. By the way, how old are you, Bobby?
I come up from Geelong for $1.70 in the train, Bruce.
Is that one way or both ways?
That's both ways. And I can get onto the tram as well. That's right. It's marvellous.
That's what the pension is about, isn't it?
Rod, the City of Melbourne would not allow him to come on a one-way ticket, I can promise you. It means he'd have to stay here for the weekend.
He's been given lots of one-way tickets.
No, Ron, I've only been at one club, Ron. Don't start that.
Malcolm Blight keeps trying to get away.
Did you try and get away, Bobby?
Of course he did.
He went to Adelaide?
I went to Adelaide. There was only a subterfuge.
To get more money.
Well, who'd you give the votes to? Did Lockett get a vote, Bobby?
As a matter of fact, he did get a vote, although I gave it a bit of thought. Fletcher, who's come up from Geelong and unfortunately was sort of overpowered because while he is a very nice player and could make the ball talk, Fletcher, he's a little bit slow, but he does get the ball and he didn't really fit in. Winmar is just magic to watch. I love Winmar. And Lockett, of course, 15-4, well, the first fella that played on him, poor little Dunkley, while he's the same height, he's 3 stone light. He looked at him and he kicked 3 goals before he even blinked. So he said, I don't think this is my day here. Cordy is 3 centimetres shorter, 3 stone lighter. He had 8 kicked on him. And then Nettlebeck, the one that he tangled with, well, he's still 3. Is anyone as heavy as Lockett?
Well, that's not Lockett's fault. I mean, he's got size. He's using it till he's
I believe that he went for the when they gave him the fitness test. They put 15 hamburgers up on the shelf to see if he could get his hand up there.
Bobby, 3 weeks ago, I said that everyone should get off his back because he kicks a lot of goals because he is that size.
That possibly is so because I know Baldock never really trained hard. Wadey never trained hard. You know, their bulk sort of helps them along, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Have you ever seen a more intimidating forward in your career, Bob? And you've been going for it a little while.
No, I think he's very awesome. I think that's the word. Awesome when he gets out on the field.
He's as good as 4 people.
He kicks as many goals as 4 people. Bobby, it started with an A, by the way, Ron, not an F. Tell us about Barry Mitchell, because there's a wider
Mitchell,
issue. Now, how did he play yesterday?
Well, he tried very hard, Mitchell, as he always does, you know, and he's in the game a lot. But
what's your feeling on that, Bob? I mean, what worries me, it could have been a grand final week, and because of a technicality, a key player, and he's a key player, but let's say it was a Lockett or a Brereton, could pull the same, well, I was going to say stunt, it's not a stunt, they could legally go the same way as Mitchell and maybe play in a grand final, which would be shocking, I think.
Well, they could play it as a stunt, couldn't they? Another club could.
Well, that's
right. And, I mean, with all jokes aside, Lockett is in danger of doing that a bit.
Well, he'd be suspect of that.
A little bit at it.
But surely on the Mitchell thing, I mean, this is just a shocking thing for football.
That's right.
And the owners of Sydney, absolutely disgraceful act in my opinion. I don't think it'll do Mitchell any good. I mean, the guy is guilty, and they know it, and he knows it. So what the hell are they putting the future of football at risk for?
The spirit of the game,
well, it's more than that. I mean, the spirit of the game is a big thing by itself, and by itself could carry what we're talking about.
That's
but there's more to it than that, because grand final day comes, go to court, and the player plays. I mean, where would that leave football? I mean, it is an absolute joke, Sydney, and you're asking for help from the rest of football, and here you go, putting the whole lot at jeopardy, and I think it's an absolute disgrace.
Bernie, your thoughts?
That's a real worry, Ron, and I agree entirely with what you've said. I think it's a worry when a club goes outside the league rules and tries to get court intervention to benefit themselves, Bruce, and I think they should be ashamed of themselves. I think they should stick by the rules. They're a part of the competition. Let them abide by the rules like the rest of the clubs.
But I mean, but he is guilty. This is the point.
He's guilty. There's no doubt about that, Ron.
Gee.
Well, we saw the match and
he's a mate of mine.
Yeah, he's a wonderful.
He was.
Look, he's a wonderful player, but it's a bit like the Collingwood thing, not accepting the decision of something that is actually greater than the individual, which is the game.
Can't you expect them to be a little bit irate when they've been cleared? He's been cleared. I mean, that's in the spirit of the game too, that you've been cleared, so all's forgotten, and all of a sudden it's brought up again. You as coaches at North Melbourne would be a bit upset if it had been one of your top players at the particular time, and he's cleared, and then they brought it up and he's got 2 or 3 weeks.
I'd be upset, no doubt, but I don't think I'd go to this extent.
Would you accept the umpire's decision on in the right manner?
If I thought the umpire was wrong, but if the guy's guilty, I don't care how guilty guys get caught. Surely, out in the streets, you'd be very annoyed if the police were hamstrung to the effect they couldn't produce extra evidence just because that had been done with, and here's some more evidence, and you can't put a criminal away. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Right.
Principle.
I think you've made a very strong point there. Let's have a look at Lockett with his 15 yesterday. What a performance. His best ever. He had kicked 13 at Waverley last year against Carlton. But here's the all-time list. Fanning 18, Dunstall 17. So what an extraordinary year we're having when you consider that Fanning did it in 47 and Coventry did it in 30 and 29. And we're seeing this year, 17 and 15. So Lockett's put himself right up there in the stratosphere, up near the all-time greats. And he is, of course, an all-time great himself. Let's have a look at what happened last weekend. Some terrific matches. Carlton, Geelong, and Bernie went for Hocking, Hinckley and Ablett from that game, 3-2-1. Ross Glendinning went to see Brisbane beat Melbourne. He went Martin Leslie, McIver, who unfortunately is injured today, and Zanotti. This was some game, wasn't it? Collingwood St Kilda. I doubt whether I've ever seen better entertainment for 2 hours in a football match. Burke, Gregg and McGuan. I think Bernie used the point. It was a privilege to be there. And Adelaide and Hawthorn, McDermott and Jarman. That's D. Jarman. Andrew Jarman also played very well that day. And John Platten. So there were some terrific matches played on the weekend. As we look at progressive votes, Atkins and Jarman right at the top, 2 most exciting players along with Wine. So 15, 14 and 13, and then Lowe and Ablett on 10, and then a group of players on 9. OK, in just a moment we go to Marks of the Week, and it'll be Ron and Bob.
The Mark of the Week and the Mark of the Year are proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors.
Well, here's Ken Hinckley coming in, floating across the face, takes 2 grabs, takes a few points off for that, but a marvellous effort.
And we see Sean Hart there with a very nice one-hander. It was a good mark.
And here's another one-hander, beautifully taken in, great ball control, as we know Brett Lovett's famous for.
Well, here's the daddy of one-handers. Look at Jarman. There must be something. Are they growing fellas with bigger hands, or they're making the ball small?
Well, here's another one. It's another grab in with the one hand. Must have intense concentration on the ball to do that.
There's a very, very nice mark from over the back there. We're starting to see a couple of great marks now.
And here's young Tim Allen, a very good aerialist. He's a desperate effort here. He's got past one opponent to block it, then catch it again.
Now here's a mark with a stamp of authority. Look at that, Gavin Brown. put his fingers around it and said, that's it.
Here's a similar one, but the pack is larger, and it's a terrific leap and a great grab, and the eyes on the ball and the strong hands. Bobby, I think you've chosen...
Well, Ron, I bowed to your judgment, Ron, and the one of Caverton was marvellous. And I said, we're going to see it again now, Brian. There it is, and as Ron says, there's a big pack, but he really has got the good grip of the ball, brings it straight down, and he takes the mark of the round.
Thank you, Bobby.
Well, Adrian Gleeson said there's a spot for Justin Madden. Let's hope there's a spot for Caverton as well. Great mark, and he's a promising player. Wanganeen, Roos, Dean, Wilden and Bradley have done similar things. We'll take a break, and goal of the week after this.
There are many aspects to a good news service. Reporters of integrity, the latest technology, teamwork. But one thing gives 7 News the edge. That's our local news. Only when your heart's in Melbourne can you deliver the news service Melbourne wants. Jennifer Kite and 7 Nightly News.
From now until the end of the financial year, your Mitsubishi dealer will offer great savings on the entire range of Mitsubishi Express fans and Mitsubishi Tritons. So if you really want to save on Triton or Express, we'll give you a few days to think about it.
Here's 5 good reasons to pick up a copy of Michael Jackson's Dangerous for Brashers. 1, black or white.
Don't matter if you're black or white.
2, remember the time. 3, in the closet. 4, jam. And 5, win a trip to see Michael Jackson live in London, where the answer is Brashers.
At BP, our emphasis on research and testing often leaves an impression on our visitors.
4th floor, aviation fuel research. Sixth floor, marine oil testing. 7th floor, motorsport fuel and oil testing.
And everything we learn from this research, we put to use in a very practical place. Your local BP service station.
Pizza for Ted King? Top floor.
Top floor, space research.
BP, on the move.
This is a laser, and this is a Lancer. Now, some people appear a little confused, but it's really very easy to tell them apart. The Mitsubishi Lancer is fully imported. It has superior fuel economy. It has more front head and leg room, and yet they cost around the same. So there's laser, and here's Lancer. We'd hate you to make a costly mistake.
Welcome back. Goals of the week with Kelvin Moore and Tim Watson in just a moment.
The goal of the week and the goal of the year are brought to you by BP. BP, on the move.
Up over centre wing.
For the first goal here is from that marvellous player from Geelong, Gary Ablett. Takes one bounce in the greasy conditions and then launches for 50 metres out for a very good goal on the run.
Yes, and coming up in a moment, not to be outdone, is Carlton skipper. It's a great snap on the left foot, a real team lifting goal, that one. Tremendous.
The Brisbane Bears' Scott McIver was back in form last week, and here he gets a little crumb via a good smother and snaps around his right foot for a good goal for the Bears.
Schwert did well to
Yes, and Tony McGuinness in that memorable match last week on that lethal left foot, a top conversion under conditions. It's very boggy out there, and it was a top goal.
Another goal by an Adelaide Crow, Hart on his left foot for the match-winning goal last week against the Hawks.
Has it cleared the line? Yes!
Yes, and the heart stopper at the MCG last Sunday, we see Gilbert McAdam roving the pack there and just loops it in, just makes it, but still produces the 6-pointer.
Had this goal been kicked by an Ablett or perhaps a Dacos, you'd say that it wasn't a fluke. But when it's big Stewie Lowe, I don't know that Stewie's been kicking too many of those.
And there's Craig Davenport, whatever Kenny Sheldon said to him in that little incident certainly paid dividends, the match-winning goal.
And Jason Borwood from the Fitzroy side, snapping that ball back really as a pass. It's cleared the pack and tumbled through for a lucky goal.
So it come off those two players, that one, didn't it? Vitesse, Ronnie DeLulio, yes, and he's certainly an exciting player. Czech side just won through yesterday against the Crows, one of his many goals for the season.
And Anthony Koutafidis from Carlton kicks that ball, it's smothered, he follows up, he grabs a crumb, then back onto his right foot, he squeezes that back through for a very good goal.
Great second effort there by Koutafidis, but we see Leon Higgins here as his namesake, the accurate one, and he's on the boundary line and threads one, drills one straight through the centre at Moorabbin.
David Mensch, the Geelong forward, snaffling that one with his left foot, and that was a miraculous goal.
Yes, and we see the pass from Scott down here to bouncing Billy Brownless. Just have a look how far out he is here. He must be 80 metres and really unloads a big one there. Good 80 metres from Billy Brownless.
Well, Bernie.
Thanks, Jim.
Kelvin, you're much older and much wiser than me, so I'll let you choose the winner.
Much wiser, definitely, and I've gone for, well, there's a lot yesterday, but I went for David Mensch. I was there live, and it was quite an exciting goal here, and it must be the company he keeps, the Ablets, the Malcolm Blights. They're two players I know could do that sort of thing, and it's obviously something they practice at training. Top goal.
How often do you see an 80-metre goal?
Well, Ron, don't argue with
every week with bouncing Billy.
We'll tell you what I'm more interested in. As we have a look at the other round by rounds, Mensch getting it with Kemp, Kickett, Dacos, Kickett, and the other Kickett and Krasiska. Some of the winners, the 85 for Dunsel and 69 for Lockett, the situation at the moment, and 49 for Ablett. What was interesting, that Kelvin actually saw that match live yesterday. He felt he was live. Bob's been to the football in a far different state of mind, often.
Brucey, can I just check with Cal who the accurate one was?
Oh, the accurate one he thought was Roy Higgins. It was actually Bill Collins.
It's Bill Collins.
Yeah, that's okay. It's his mate.
That's all right. That's all right. He was nearly as accurate. I meant kicking goals. I saw Roy.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
Gentlemen, you've just messed up half a minute of our time. We've only got half a minute left. Name a game, don't forget. The number is 008, toll-free number 035 665. If you want one of these fantastic matches, all the grand finals from the 1960s, toll-free number. You can take your order or send you a catalogue. People on that at the moment on that phone and in working hours during the week. We haven't got long.
Three certainties, Footscray, Essendon and the West Coast Eagles.
Ron?
Yes, I agree once with Bob.
Certainties, Kelvin?
For the West Coast, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with Melbourne. I'm going Footscray and have to go with the Dons.
Tim?
West Coast, Footscray and Essendon.
Yeah, three certainties for mine, Bruce. Same as Bob.
There'll be an upset today, just the same. I can't tell you which one, but I reckon there will be.
You just told us three certainties.
Did you have something to eat last night, did you?
Thanks for that, Ron. Thank you. And Bob, happy birthday from everybody. And Ron's got the Channel 7 jacket on and Sean's tie, as you can see, but that's another story. Well, you don't know where that tie's been, Ron. We'll take a break. Brooke comes back after this.
All right, who's it going to be? Me or Nick?
Lou's torn between two men.
Lou, you still here?
And getting caught.
Oi, you two.
Shane's a teenage rebel with a bad attitude.
Can't get in. What? Oh, come on, dog.
And a moment of pure excitement.
Sid, my baby's coming.
Home and Away, weeknights at 7.
Hey, do you really want synthetic carpet? Nah, get real. Get wool. Better still, get quality merino carpets. They're 100% pure wool. Beautiful styles, hundreds of colors, and only merino carpets have Stain Shield 2000. Demo, please. It's the first carpet with a 5-year warranty against hot spillages and cold. Awesome. So get real. Get merino at leading carpet stockists. Let's ram the quality home. My logo, please. Merino.
Here's 5 good reasons to pick up a copy of Michael Jackson's Dangerous from Brashes. 1, black or white. 2, remember the time. 3, in the closet. 4, jam. And 5, win a trip to see Michael Jackson live in London, where the answer is Brashes.
Daihatsu call their applause the unstretched limousine because it's literally loaded with features. In fact, the Daihatsu applause...
And he's missed. So approaching the last 10 seconds of this game. And it's 12-13 to 18-11. Kickett kicks in, finds Harvey. Harvey towards the wing. Great courage shown by Danaher and McCluckie. Danaher it is who takes the mark. So Salmon 4 goals, Werner 4, Somerville 3, Alessio 2, the principal goal scorers for the Bombers. And for the Bears, Shackey 5 and 2 each to Hamilton and Worsfold. So a 34-point victory at the end of the Bombers. They had to work hard for it. That's our final scoreline, 18-11 to 12-13. For some stations, that's all from Carrara. We'll be going shortly to Perth.